my friends, it is Saturday morning, or Saturday afternoon, or Sunday morning, or Wednesday the 3rd of February. I don't know where you're going to watch these videos, but in terms of my world, we are in the brand new Ups and Downs studio. That's why it's a little bit echoey, because I'm still building away, but you don't care. It looks exactly the same. Hello, my name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you very much for joining me as always. And we did just have a show called WWE SmackDown, and it has been bestowed upon me the powers to get the good bits up and the bad bits down. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's up those downs. Man, we are clearly trying to make Ricochet a big deal, because let's not forget, ever since he has been on the main roster, he's been treating like a goober, but Triple H loved him back in NXT, and now Triple H is in charge. He's basically He-Man. So it's time to make him a big deal again. He was in our first match too because he was taking on Happy Corbin, and he has also got a storyline at the moment, notably that he keeps losing and he keeps losing and he keeps losing. And the commentators even talked about this, and I tell you why this made me warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum, because once again, it ties into NXT. Because back then, Baron Corbin was the lone wolf and he was all cool and he was all badass. And I kind of get the feeling we may be going back to that. And even if we don't, we could get sad Corbin again, the best gimmick of the last 10 years. Otherwise, this just rocked. I mean, Rick is so damn talented, it's stupid, and Happy Corbin never lets you down, and he always brings the good. And I especially enjoyed this, because Ricochet would do something like a standing shooting star press, so Corbin would be, all right, punch him right in the face. Corbin also just hurled Ricky into reach of the ring post at one point, but that crazy Ricochet somehow jumped up onto the corner and then did a moonsault, but Corbin kept it simple once again, because he took this fool and he threw him into the announce table. I like the basics. Happy they went for the end of days, but somehow Ricochet turned it into a DDT, and Rick even backflipped off the man. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that's legal. For example, if I walk outside right now and I do a backflip off an old woman, am I going to jail? Yes. Corbin was still able to deep six him, which sounds terrible out of context, but then you will not believe this. They both got back to their feet. Ricochet gave him a big boot. He climbed to the top turnbuckle. He hit the shooting star, and he beat him for the 1-2-3. Now, yes, I'll admit it, Corbin took a large portion of this match, but when we got to the end, it was clean as a whistle. I'm like, man, what is round the corner? Nobody knows. Pat McAfee also wrecked Happy after this, because he was doing the whole football punditry thing and basically drawing a circle around Corbin's face and going, what an absolute loaf of bread. Really made me laugh. Hero were then backstage and they bumped into the Street Profits. And while they pretended like they hate each other, they were all then like, well, no, we're actually friends. Let's go and have a smoke. Words to that effect. They just had this awesome Drew McIntyre promo, and I swear, if he doesn't win at Clash of the Castle, what are we doing? Although actually, deep down in my Tootsie Toes, I don't think he's going to. And then we had a promo with Karrion Kross and Scarlett. And you know the deal with these two. They just go, hey, we really like clocks, man. Tick-tock, tick-tock, time, time, time. I mean, seriously, if you're a friend of theirs and they have a birthday coming up, just buy them a time-telling device. And also, what Drew McIntyre should do is break into his house and steal all his clocks, because Karrion and Scarlett will come and be like, what are we meant to do now? Driven this into the ground. This was also the night where we needed to fix the women's tag team tournament, so we did have a fatal four-way second chance match, because of course 2 other teams have already dropped out. So it was Natalya and Sonya Deville, Xia Li and Shotzi, Nikki Ash and Doudrop, as well as Tamina, There's Nobody Meaner, and Dana Brooke. And look, this was kind of alright, but it felt very much like a band-aid. Because the real issue is that clearly this was never in the plan, so we had to find 3 minutes on a random show in order to try and make it good again. And because they barely had any time, it was just rush, 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 go, go, go. And the only real thing of note is when Dana Brooke took Nikki Ash and did a suplex onto every other person in the damn thing. Thought somebody was gonna die. I do agree with the winner though, because as soon as Deville had seen that, she was like, all right, she grabbed Nikki, she rolled her in the ring, and she beat her for the 1-2-3, which also means later on, we are gonna have another match with Sonya Deville and Natalya. because they got to take on Aliyah and Raquel Rodriguez. So all of this does make sense, like you can justify it. I really didn't think this one clicked down. It was then time to build up to the pay-per-view though, premium live event, because of course we have an Intercontinental title match between Gunther and Sheamus. Flub me sideways, this was great. Sheamus and his boys came out first, and quite clearly we are trying to make them baby faces before this show, because when you go through it, it is basically Team England and Team Ireland heading over to United Kingdom. Why the hell not? Sheamus also promised to beat Gunther and become the Intercontinental Champion, and you don't do that on a wrestling show because your opponent is always waiting behind the curtain going, no, give it a second, but if he says something I don't like, I'm going out there. Up came Gunther and Ludwig. Sheamus basically cut him off early though and did the whole I beat everybody. I beat Roman Reigns, I beat John Cena, I beat Drew McIntyre, I beat you, I beat Arnold Schwarzenegger, I beat Santa Claus. Like, oh my gosh, you're so talented. Gunther is the ender level boss though, and what was quite funny here is he was like, how dare you compare us to each other? I am Gunther, the greatest in all the land, and you shall not be taking my title because I'm the best. And then all of their friends, all of their buddies, like the Brawling Brutes and Ludwig, started to have this fight. But the whole time, Sheamus and Gunther just stared at each other. Now, it sounds silly when you say it out loud, but when you're watching it, it was like oodalali. I mean, it just makes you think that somebody had told them, listen, you two, if you get into a staring contest, whoever loses will also lose the title. But there was something to this, and eventually everything calmed down and they were split up, and they did more looking. But am I pumped for this match? You bet your ass I am. But don't bet your ass. How you going to poo? That's the point. Why did I say that? Point is getting it up. We had a quick interview with Sonya and Natty after this, and they were like, well, they're going to win the tag team championships, even though it was clear they weren't going to. And I'm pretty sure in the background, Doudrop and Nikki Ash were having some kind of an argument. Now, I could be wrong here, but if I am correct, I really enjoyed just dropping in these little story beats in the distance, because it makes it feel so damn real. And then once again, Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn had a segment, and they absolutely killed it. And really, the person to beat Roman should be Sami Zayn. I mean, it's never going to happen, but if it did, it would be awesome. As ever though, the Usos wouldn't let Sami into the dressing room, although Jay was far more hostile than Jimmy was. But when Roman heard his new pal on the outside, he was like, way, come on in. They even talked about the Claymore kick that Zayn had taken for Roman last week, and Reigns was all like, that's what family does, man, because you are family. And even the Usos agreed with that. So if you are taking notes, remember, if you have never taken Claymore kick for your mother or something, she doesn't consider you family. Sami was so happy to hear this, and when these guys turn on him, it is going to break your heart because you can see it coming a mile away, and you can also see the manipulation here because Sami Zayn was like, oh yeah, we're the bloodline, we should go take out the Scottish Warrior together, and these three schmoes were all, oh no, we think you should do it, Sam. Poor guy. The key part to all of this though is that even though Jimmy and Sami did do this handshake at the end, Jay was basically like, nah bruh, you better get out of here. So once again, we're just planting the seeds. And the dynamic between Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn for some reason is so damn good. Up. And then it was back to the women's tournament. This one was better. It certainly wasn't right home material, especially because if I did do that, my family would hate me even more than they already do. But it was Raquel Rodriguez and Aliyah taking on Sonya Deville and Natalya. And basically, when we were writing this script, somebody went, we need to get that there Raquel over. Let's give her a push. Bailey, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky were also on commentary for this. Once again, Bailey was just like Michael Cole, I hate you with all my being, and I do find it amusing. And in the early going, Aliyah got taken out, like literally. There was no big babyface comeback here. She got murked, she was chucked out of the ring, so Raquel basically had to be on a 2-on-1 match, but they couldn't stop her. It was just like, rah, Rodriguez, and she kicked their ass. I mean, seriously, it was like Raquel had been through the WWE 2K22 moves list because she took Deville and threw her into her own partner. She hit this elbow drop and she went for the Texana bomb. She wasn't able to do that because Sonya smacked her with a knee instead, but when that only got a nil fall, Rodriguez dusted herself off. She hit the Texana bomb, 1, 2, 3. And the best part is, as soon as she won, Aliyah was back in the ring going, yeah, I did it. This is gonna backfire so badly for poor Ali, because it was like, well, you show up now, don't you? And even Bayley said that on commentary. This does mean we have our finals that are going down on Raw though, and seriously, Sky and Kai, whatever the hell they're called, should win this, and then Naomi and Sasha Banks return. I mean, it just makes all the sense in the world. We are definitely getting a match between their Maximum Male Models and Hit Row 2, because not only did they have a little skit on this SmackDown, but then the match got confirmed for next week. The models were doing a photo shoot here though, because they love doing that, when it got interrupted by Hit Row, who were playing their own theme song loud from a bus. That's kind of arrogant. Maxine Dupree couldn't handle this. No, wait, Max Dupree couldn't handle this. But Maxine was like, well, I've got a plan. And she went and found Los Lotharios. All this turned out to be, though, is that they took spray paint and they spray painted Hit Row's bus, but they're such goobers, they got the wrong vehicle, and out came the Street Profits, and they're like, damn you kids, what have you done to our bus? Now, all of this was kind of fine, but when you have a gimmick that is as stupid as this, you have to be more goofy, like that first skit they did when it was absolutely ridiculous, and this was just somewhere in the middle. I was a bit like, massively didn't much get out of it. See, I couldn't even form proper sentences because it's just not what I wanted. It's the same thing with the 24/7 title. I don't mind you having it, but make it the dumbest thing on the planet. I really get this down. But then the New Day were back, and you know the deal. They never miss. Because they were selling their injuries too, and Xavier Woods was even in a wheelchair, and both him and Kofi Kingston were like, we did not understand the power of the Viking Raiders to the point that now it may be the end of the New Day. And even though they've been together since like 1672, it's still ready to go. Now, please don't break up, because I love them. From nowhere, Eric and Ivar then teleported in, and as always, they just talk in riddles like, we are the Vikings and we will eat your livers. But it turned out this was just a big ruse, because when they got to the ring, Kofi Kingston backed to the corner like, please don't kill me. When Xavier Woods stood up from the wheelchair, he's not injured. He was also hiding a kendo stick in his pants. He threw one to Kingston, and they fought the Viking Raiders off. Now we're going to get a no DQ match on SmackDown next week. See, it's like Jenga. We took all the pieces and they fit together. Getting it up. The Usos were then ruining Sami Zayn verbally again backstage, going, oh, you mad with Drew McIntyre, all the worst things ever going to happen. And then we did get the second part of the Drew McIntyre video, which was so damn good. This is all very handy, because it was our main event. Sami versus Drew. You knew this was going to be good as well, because they can't have bad matches. And the best part is that Drew McIntyre was going for a super duper mega move at one point, and Sammy Dave just went boop, and he poked him right in the eye. It's the simple things. He also hit a sunset bomb and a tornado DDT for a near fall, but you know the deal with Drew McIntyre. He's Scottish, and therefore he has a hard head, and he calls it a kiss. I don't know. I mean, the move is called Glasgow Kiss, which makes no sense, so he went bang, and he smacked him right in the skull. This was the time for Drew to go nuts, and he hit his belly to belly to set up the Claymore. But then, of course, the Usos came running out, and they had restored their MP, so they were casting distraction. Sami did use this to hit the Blue Thunder Bomb for another near two, but you know the deal recently. WWE may as well have had a mega horn and going, make sure you push Drew so hard. Drew is the man. Oh my gosh, we love Drew. So he basically just shook all of this off. He hit the Claymore kick, 1, 2, 3. Because we are getting close to the pay-per-view, premium live event though, Roman Reigns came storming out after this, and while McIntyre was able to get a few licks in, he eventually got speared, and then the Bloodline murdered him. Seriously. Police are going to see this footage and say, I'm sorry guys, you gotta come to jail. Because not only did they absolutely wreck him with chairs, but they threw him into barricades. Sami Zayn even got a shot at him. He hit him with the haluva kick, and then when he was back in the ring, Roman grabbed him in the guillotine like, oh, I'm gonna strangle him. Simba the Steel Steps also got involved, and this week's episode of SmackDown actually ended with McIntyre on the floor, with Roman Reigns sat on a chair, holding both belts over his body. Now, I was a bit like, well, that's a pile of baloney. You're meant to be the head of the table, and I don't see any wood. But even though the Bloodline are quite dominant, there's still something about them, and I am now ready for this match, and I'm still not 100% sure who is going to win and who is going to lose. Good work, my friends. Up. Which did indeed bring us to the end of SmackDown. As you can see, it's certainly not a perfect show, but good grief does it have momentum at the moment. And the spoilers for next week's are already out because, of course, the WWE crew is coming across to Europe. If you want to get excited about some stuff, well, maybe you want to check them out. getting it up. Now, please do leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head on to WhatCulture.com. It's over here. And make sure you check out some articles. Then zoom back this way, and you can follow us on social media at SimonLetter316 and WhatCulture WWE. Then crouch down, look around, go and watch more videos. My name is Simon WhatCulture. Thank you very much for watching me. As always, I hope you have the best damn day of your life. See you soon.